Let's start the exercises on the reference angle handout. So I'm showing the exercises from the handout on the screen here, and the first page of the handout looks like this. We've already had one video where we've worked through the first few pages, and if that seemed a little bit confusing to you, just take a look at these exercises. I think the exercises will help to bring this to life quite a bit. So let's go ahead and start. Exercise 1. Exercise 1 I recopied onto another sheet of paper so we can write a little larger. And it goes like this. For each quadrant, find an angle between 0 and 360 degrees that has 25 degrees as its reference angle. So let's go ahead and start with quadrant 1. We're going to do one of these for each quadrant. Quadrant 1 is kind of boring. In fact, if we only had quadrant 1, we really wouldn't even care about reference angles. So in quadrant 1, I'm just going to draw roughly a 25 degree angle. And 25 degrees is its own reference angle. So there's not really much to say in quadrant 1 at all. Let's move right on to quadrant 2, where things get a little bit more interesting. So let me redraw coordinate axes. Now, the reference angle for an angle in quadrant 2 is always going to have one side along the x-axis. So in quadrant 2 it would be along the negative x-axis. So I'm going to imagine 25 degrees in this position. This is not in standard position for 25 degrees, but that's the position of the reference angle. The angle we're looking for will be in standard position. We'll start at the positive x-axis and we'll rotate around to that terminal side. We need to figure out what the measure of this angle is. And I think you can see from the way I drew this picture that we want to take 180 minus 25 degrees, which I think is 155 degrees. This is a 155 degree angle. And we say that 155 degrees has a reference angle of 25 degrees. Let's go ahead and move on to quadrant 3. Now in quadrant 3, we're down here, and again the reference angle will have one side along the x-axis, negative x-axis in this case. So I'm going to imagine 25 degrees in this position. And the angle we're looking for between 0 and 360 that has that reference angle is going to have this terminal side and be in standard position. So it's got to start at the positive x. It's got to start and rotate around like so. So the way we're going to figure this one out now is a little bit different from what we did in quadrant 2, because we can see that the angle we want is 25 degrees more than 180. I want to take 180 plus 25 degrees. I think that's 205. So this is a 205 degree angle that we've just drawn, and we would say 205 degrees has a reference angle of 25 degrees. Let's move to quadrant 4. So I don't want to give you a formula for these because the formula just gets, to me, just sort of kind of overwhelming and complicated. And I think it's best to just try to visualize. If you can learn to visualize the position of the reference angles, you'll see how the calculation has to be made. Let's look at quadrant 4. So we're going to have a terminal side over here in quadrant 4. The reference angle will have one side along the x-axis, the positive x-axis in this case. So my 25-degree angle is in this position. Now the angle we want is between 0 and 360. Again, it's got to start at the positive x. We got to rotate in a positive way around until we get to this terminal side right here. So that's the angle we're trying to describe. And now the way we get it is a little bit different from what we've done in previous quadrants, right? What we can see is we want an angle that's just 25 degrees short of 360. So we actually want to take 360 minus 25, which is going to be, I think, 3 is at 335 degrees. So this is a 335 degree angle. And we would say 335 degrees has a reference angle of 25 degrees. So both 25 degrees, 155, 205, and 335 are 4 different angles that all have that reference angle of 25 degrees. And we're done with the exercise. One more thing I want to say, though. I just want to say a little bit about where this funny picture comes from, my bow tie picture that I included on the handout. So I'm going to take the angles from this exercise and just draw one more picture. So suppose this is the original 25-degree angle, right? Suppose I drew all 4 of those terminal sides together. Well, I could just extend this line down this way. Here's another copy of 25 degrees. And then I'm going to have a 25-degree angle here and a 25-degree angle here. Okay? And that's really where that bow tie, that rectangular thing comes from. And the idea is any angle at all that has a terminal side here, 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 or here, in any of those 4 positions, any angle positive, negative, greater than 360, or less, again, anything at all, has 25 degrees as its reference angle. There are 4 possible terminal sides of angles that would have 25 degrees as a reference angle, and they're kind of related in this way, right? They form this X around a rectangle. So we'll never look at 4 at the same time, but I think that symmetry is kind of helpful to think about.